Today on the podcast, you will hear my interview with Katherine Needleman, principal oboist of the Baltimore Symphony and an outspoken activist for women and other marginalized people in classical music. You have probably been seeing her content on Facebook or her Substack, which I highly recommend that you check out, or you have seen a significant amount of pushback at her on social media, on various other platforms from people who do not think that there is a problem in classical music. I want to say that although I've been admiring Catherine's work for a really long time, I did not invite her onto this channel for a long time because I was a little afraid of how provocative some of her content feels. I was a little afraid of seeing the kind of pushback that she gets directed at me. And I don't know why that should be, why it should be so frightening to speak the truth, to speak our truth, to point out actual factual facts about what is going on in this industry. But I'm so glad that I did. I find her a delight, and I know that you will also enjoy this interview. Katherine Needleman, welcome to Crushing Classical.
Hi, Jennet.
I am so excited to talk with you today. I have been admiring your work for such a long time, both as an oboist, as a composer, as an activist for women in classical music, especially. And I am sure that most of our classical music listeners have some idea of who you are and what we're going to be talking about today. But before we really get started, would you go ahead and introduce yourself to the people and tell a little bit of the story that brings us to where you are in your career now?
Sure. So I began in classical music at the age of 7 as a sort of self-taught pianist. I ended up then playing the oboe in 5th grade in public music school. No, not public music school, just regular public school. And we used to have band and orchestra there, which I don't know that
Imagine.
is so common now, sadly. But that's really where I got my start. I played the violin first, and that did not suit me, and I did not enjoy it. And I was horrendous. It sounded so bad. And then I played the clarinet in 4th grade, and I was much better at that. And so then they let me play the oboe, which is what I had wanted to do originally, in 5th grade. And to be honest, it was kind of a disappointment because I was quite a bit more advanced on the piano, and the oboe is hard. And, it's hard to even just make a noise on it. And I was really frustrated with it for a number of years, and I mostly sat under my bed. But then I got a teacher in 7th grade, and, she helped me make a consistent sound, a vibration all the time. And that was, with reeds, and that was really nice. So then I got pretty into the oboe when I actually was playing with this woman who was a saint. She was my middle school band director, and she had like 300 kids in her band, and the band filled the whole auditorium, like our whole gymnasium, and they would squeeze the parents like in 1/3 of the gymnasium, and it was this enormous band. And I don't know how she did this. I mean, she was really a genius and a saint. And then she played piano, and she accompanied all these kids like for the solo ensemble festival. So the first time I remember I played a Handel sonata with her, it was incredible. It was like so magical, and I was kind of hooked on the oboe at that point, or this idea of playing with other people. And I ended up going to music school, and then I ended up having various jobs, and then I ended up in the Baltimore Symphony, and then I ended up where I am now.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. And can we shout out to our public school music professionals who do incredible work with the nastiest bunch of little kids and with the most limited resources in so many cases. So
Yeah, I was just talking to someone last night about how she had this, I mean, she's this brilliant woman, and she was talking about this like really miserable, horrible childhood. And I'm like, how is it that you're function? How is it that you function much less at such a high level? And she's like, well, I was really into music, and the band and orchestra programs like saved me. So
yeah. Amazing.
Yeah.
So you currently sit as principal oboe in the Baltimore Symphony, which, as a woman, is not like the most common role. And I don't think, I've been following you for a long time, right? I have tons of admiration for you as a musician. And as I was following your social media, like early on, years ago, you started to come forward with all of these statistics about women in classical music, about women in leadership roles in orchestras, about women in leadership roles in specific sections in orchestras, and about female conductors. And it opened my eyes like dramatically. I was very willing to believe, and I still am very willing to believe, that in every audition that I was up for, that I was in the finals for, that I was like, almost the principal oboe of blah and almost the principal oboe of blah. I am not so arrogant as to believe that I lost those auditions because there was a man in the finals that won, right? Like, I believe that I was outplayed in all of those cases. And it had never occurred to me that there was something systemic that was a factor in
Yeah, it's hard to
my in my
it's
own
hard.
professional journey. Where did this in like and this was sort of where I saw your activist journey start, is just like showing the pictures and naming these things, creating collages of who was getting the good work and who was getting the fine work. And like, I was shocked. And I am approximately your age, a little bit older, and like, I am a woman in classical music, and I am a principal oboist of a little orchestra, not like yours. And I was shocked. Can you talk about sort of the evolution of this?
Yeah, I mean, like you, it never occurred to me that there was anything nefarious going on. And certainly in an instrument like ours, we see a ton of women all the time,
Mm-hmm.
right? And Nicolette Labonte has a study of Eastman students last decade. And I think like 80% of them or 70 some percent of the students in oboe there are women, right? And I mean, you just see women oboists, it's always been a thing. It's maybe not like trumpet or something like this where we might associate the instrument being gendered against us. um and like you, I never felt like, oh, something super nefarious happened here. But if you look at kind of what women have accomplished, I think you have to assume one of two things. And, the first that everyone will have you believe is, oh, well, we just didn't play well enough. We're just not good enough. Or the second is that there's some systemic issue at play. And I think the fact that there are so many women oboists, and yet there are so few, maybe zero at the very top of our profession, has to tell you something, unless you're willing to believe that, oh, well, the women just aren't as good at playing the oboe.
Right. And like, based on my own interactions with oboists, sort of across the spectrum, I'm not willing to believe that.
Yeah, I'm not either. I mean, I've never really seen anything that would point me to think that. Like, is there something physiological about being born a man that allows you to play the oboe better? Just having a huge lung capacity help you? No, I think it might hurt you, actually, right? Just having enormous hands. I mean, not that, of course women can have big hands, but would having extra large hands help you? No, it would maybe hurt you, if anything,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yes. And so the discovery that I had, as like, again, as a professional in this industry, seeing a lot of the material that you were sharing back pre-pandemic, even, I'm not sure when
It
you
started in the
began that.
pandemic. Yeah, about a year
Yeah.
into the pandemic is when I kind of went off the rails. Yeah.
um and like, would you talk a little bit about, like, even in those early days, I was seeing some pushback against the like, just neutral information that I saw that you were sharing. Like, what could that have been like, and what do people find to object to when, like, the material I see you sharing is factual.
Yeah, well, what do they object to? I think it's really hard to consider that maybe you had a leg up in something, right? Like, I mean, I certainly had plenty of legs up to become an oboe player, and if I were to deny them, I'd be kind of a fool, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
I was in a wealthy um public school system, right? That had band and orchestra and great teachers who wanted to help kids, right?
Mm-hmm.
My parents had money to buy me oboe reeds, right? My parents were educated and went to college. I mean, I appear white, right? These are all like
Yeah.
tremendous advantages. And if I'm to deny them, well, that's kind of just ridiculous. And so I think that a lot of people who maybe grow up being white men have a really hard time thinking, well, yeah, I worked hard and I mean I love the oboe or I love the trombone and I worked hard,
Mm-hmm.
and so they feel of course that they deserve what they've done because of all the investment they have made. But the
Mm-hmm.
idea that there are other people who may have worked just as hard or harder and didn't get anywhere, that is hard. That's hard to sit with. And I think that that is maybe where the pushback is coming from.
Yeah. Yeah. And like, I think over the course of this conversation, I'm probably going to keep nudging you about the courage that I see you continue to show. Like in a lot of ways, you are living out everyone's terror of visibility, right? Like the I know people who hesitate to post anything on social media because what if they're criticized? What if someone disagrees? What if someone like
Yeah.
comes into the comments and says, "No, no, that's not true for me." And not only is that happening for you, but you're getting called terrible names and slandered and taken to court, and like awful things are coming at you, and yet you nevertheless you persist, which like is incredibly impressive. Before we like get to anything more, before would you just talk a little bit about where this persistence, or maybe I mean courage, or maybe I mean both things, comes from?
Yeah, or like why I persist at what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I think it's ultimately because I love music and I think that there's tremendous potential in our profession for good, right? Like,
Yeah.
was I telling you about this woman in the conversation that we got cut off about the woman in public school? Like the public school saved her, right? And the music program.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think there's so much potential and power for good in music, and I want it to be enjoyed by everybody, right? Like that
Yeah.
everybody has at least some access to that, right? Or potential to live in this world, which I find so many really beautiful things in. And so, you ask about the willingness to put myself out there in the way that I do. I came pretty close to quitting the whole industry maybe about 7 years ago. Um, and ultimately I decided, well, I can't quit because I love music. And so yes, I could probably be a functional adult in another profession, if I were re-educated in something else. But I actually, yeah, I mean, I am interested in other things, but I really love and believe in music. So I guess I decided to stay. And I really hit a rather low point, I guess in 2018. And the way that I found out of that low point was, well, I better like either blow this shit up or make it better, right? Like
Yeah.
I can't just leave it, right? I can't just leave it as it was. And certainly my low point was from going public about my really modest um bad experience in the industry. Like what I have, everybody has, at least. And so many people have like so much more than that, right? And it causes them to be quiet and not succeed. Either be quiet and like live with it internally, or maybe not succeed as much as they potentially could. And so I thought, well, if I'm going to stay in this profession, Like, I can't just shut up, so
Yeah.
that's where I am.
Yeah. I mean, and that in itself, like, you talked about having the privilege that you have and have had, and like as a tenured member of your orchestra, there's a certain level of stability and level of privilege there, I'm sure. But
Absolutely.
mhm,
Absolutely. There's a tremendous amount of stability that I fully recognize people who are freelancers don't have, which is funny because like a lot of my favorite people are freelancers.
mhm,
Right? Like they're kind of a lot of the best people I know. Um and and so they don't have this built-in safety net that maybe I have. I don't know really what my safety net is. But I feel like there's so many people with tenure that could share news articles, like you're mentioning, or just like share the most simple factual things, um, and they won't do it. There are people with tenure that could say, tenure and fancy jobs that could say, hey, look, I don't want to participate on this jury with no women, right? That's not going to ruin some big fancy man's career to say that. And so I wish that people who did have these orchestral positions or university positions or whatever with some modicum of stability would do more
mhm,
with it. I think
right.
there's a potential there.
Yes, potential there to make this music scene more inclusive for everyone, more available for everyone, more of a meritocracy ultimately, if that's like the thing that people say they want is to prioritize quality over all else. Like, let's give some people opportunities to show their quality.
Yeah,
People who have worked plenty hard to be
sure, sure.
in this field. Um, so you referenced your own like going public about the harassment and the difficulty that happened for you in your job. And like I understand why people don't, right? It's so scary and it's so personal
Yeah,
because
and it's something
the
you're not supposed
person
to talk
involved is
about.
still right there and you're
Yeah.
not supposed to talk about it. Like the
We've
things that
been
happen
like
behind.
so trained. Like it's like a C major scale. Like you don't put this stuff out in the public, right? You
Right.
just put on your black dress and smile and, play pretty.
Show up on stage and don't say the things.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like so appreciate that you were willing to go public and say the things, and that since then you've been such an outspoken advocate for people who are like daring to use their own voices too. One of the things uh, that stands out to me about what you do is one of the things that stands out to me is the way you just share the screenshots, the messages, the ways that people are talking to you in a way that they anticipate will stay private. Right? It's sort of the same it's the same thing. We expect that like weird social interactions, that sexual harassment will stay sort of under the radar because it's private and it's quiet and it shouldn't be made public. We sort of expect that our direct messages are going to stay private because we typed them in a way that was meant to be private and that was meant to, just change your mind without, um, yeah, without actually having the entire world see your bad behavior. Um, it is astonishing to me and so impressive that you are doing the work you are doing and just sharing people's words when they are misbehaving privately.
Well,
And
some
I
of
know,
it's not even private. I mean, I'd say a lot of what I get is fully public. I mean, they often delete it. Like they're like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have made that public. I mean, a lot of people will make things public and then get rid of it. And I often save it. If I see something like, oh, wow, and that's the red flag, I will screenshot it. I mean, I'm pretty good at taking screenshots. But yes, some of it is also, as you mentioned, privately sent. And I'm not a lawyer, but my understanding is that if someone calls me some horrendous word or says some horrendous thing about me in a private message, I am under no obligation to protect them.
Yeah.
Because actually they're trying to injure me. So why should I not make that public, right? Oh,
Right.
this is what this guy says. This is what he says to me. This is, I understand that what I do is very deeply offensive to people, and I don't know that I agree with it, but
Hmm.
I understand that. And if this is how men typically, it's not always men, but it's often men. If this is how they react, I I will share it. I don't feel any obligation to protect them.
I mean, it's amazing because I think a lot of people
We do have that
would,
obligation. We feel
right,
it.
we
We're
do. We
trained it.
feel that we have that obligation. We feel that we have the obligation to protect the men in power. And
Yeah.
like I know that that's false, but it surprises me every time I see you like willingly put something out there that that came at you. Like
Are you
it's
talking
so
about like
brave.
the Alex Klein communications or something
I
like
am
that?
talking about the Alex Klein
Yeah. I
communications,
mean,
and
because
I'm
like I
talking
don't have
about
that many of them, and yeah, I think people were shocked, and I mean, I wasn't shocked because he had written stuff publicly on my site before, kind of condemning my work, and I called out an oboe competition that had no works by women composers, and he responded in such a way that what I sent and then was shared was of no surprise to me whatsoever. Um, so yeah, I guess it wasn't a surprise to me, but it was a surprise to other people. And then he did write to me, "Don't share this." And his wife, when she wrote to threaten me, wrote, I haven't shared what she wrote. She also wrote, "Don't share
Mhm.
this." Um, and that's not how electronic communications work, as far as I know.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm smiling at you because it's so delightfully we know this, right? We know when we type things on the internet. We know when we are online and we put keystrokes out into the world. Like we know that they could be public. We know that they could be shared. And somehow no one thinks it.
Yeah, well, I think that that's kind of indicative of how people exist in real life, right? They feel that they can act sometimes in really inappropriate ways, and that it's okay because they have a certain status. And so I never felt that way. Like we're talking about, I'm even reluctant to introduce myself, right? When you're um, raised as a young girl, like you're taught certain things that I think are often very different than what young boys are taught about how you can
Yes.
act. And I'm in the process of unlearning that stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's wonderful. Like we are taught to take up less space. We are taught to be like supportive and warm to the people around us. We are taught to like do a ha 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 ha
Yeah,
laugh
right, exactly.
instead of actually like saying, "I don't think that's
Yeah.
true. That thing you just said." Especially when the man who is saying it is in a position of power, is in a position of authority, is physically larger than we are. Like we are taught as a self-protective mechanism to just continue to be pleasant.
Yeah, well, this is the thing,
And
like you're talking about space, and women are always trying to make themselves smaller. But I'm already small, right? I'm like almost always the smallest person in the room. And so it never occurred to me to try to make myself smaller. And I think this is part of the really like offensive thing about me is, right? I'm not a
mhm,
woman who's trying to make myself smaller. Like I'd be happy to be larger, you know? Um like give me another foot tall, I'd be thrilled, because then I could look down at people and be intimidating, but I'm not, right? So it's funny because everybody paints me as an attacker. This is the thing. I just block people on Facebook now whenever they say that I'm attacking them when I'm clearly not, or they support someone saying that I'm attacking them and I'm clearly not. I'm like done with this. I'm not attacking you. I'm making a statement about what happened, or I'm not attacking someone else. And I'm 5'2", and like I'm maybe up to 105 pounds now, but like I'm not threatening anyone, right? There's no threat from me. So
right.
I'm just kind of I'm done with that. But I do think it's why I'm maybe perceived in the way I am.
Yes. Like over and over again, we've seen these words about like Katherine Needleman is attacking people and her band of attackers and
Mob.
or mob, yes, her
Yeah.
online mob.
Mm.
and no one's doing anything but typing
Right.
and sharing like the actual things that actual people have already written in forums that they thought were it was acceptable.
Yeah, I mean, I write what I think. That's also, I
Mm-hmm.
mean, that's another thing. Yeah, people are typing. I guess that's typing. I write what I think sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's beautiful. Like it's really spectacular. And um if you could like actually snap a finger and have us be, I don't even know, 25 years down the road, 50 years down the road toward the future that you see as possible. Like I actually find that as I read your work and as I listen to you talk, like it's actually so optimistic. What you're saying is that there is a possibility beyond like what we are doing right now, and there's a possibility that the music world can be better, and that there's a possibility that there's more room for more people. And I mean, I certainly agree with that. Will you talk about like what could it look like?
You know, what it could look like really depends on what people with money and power are willing to do. Um, where they're willing to sort of look outside their box. You know, I would be happy if we had concerts like so many concerts we have now with the man conductor and the man soloist and 3 or 4 works by men. If we could have like all women in that, and like no one would bat an eyelash, and it wouldn't be like, oh, we're having a festival of women's music this week, look at the pretty pictures of our women. Or we could have, you know, like a whole concert of, you know, trans and non-binary composers and conductors and all of this, and it just like wouldn't be a big deal because it happens randomly because these people are just like part of music, right? um and you know, or we wouldn't have like a black composers concert in February, right? We would just have, oh look, we have all black composers this August, just
Mm-hmm.
because that's how we decided to program, you know, from whatever historical thread we've chosen for our program. So I mean, I'm hoping that that happens. Will that happen in 25 years, you know, in the next generation? I don't know. I mean, I don't want to be unoptimistic. What's the word for that? But pessimistic. But I don't see a lot of people in charge like really looking for better. I see mostly tokenization and
Yeah.
pictures. So and of course our political scene now kind of complicates all of this. And how do you react to that if you want to have money for your organization and grants? And um, although it seems like we kind of have the biggest DEI program ever for white men right now, like that's um, so you know, I don't know what's possible, but I think that with music and creative people, which we often forget that we are, there's a tremendous
Mm-hmm.
amount that's possible. Um, and I think there's so much potential to help people and prepare people for other professions, you know, kids, to teach kids, to get them excited about music, and not just classical music, like all kinds of music. Yeah, there's tremendous potential that I just see is completely untapped. And I think our leaders in the field are not ideal. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's interesting as I heard you talk about like let the festival of women's music just be like a normal Saturday night,
Mm.
and next week something different, and next week something different. Um, like it's such a lovely idea, and yeah, your point about the current administration and the rollback on all DEI anything uh, is well taken. But like, I wonder what is the baby step toward that? Like, do we just
Well, I
have
think the baby
to?
step is noticing. I mean,
Yeah.
because I didn't notice. I didn't notice for a long time. And and getting past that noticing and like, wow, okay, well, I've not done a good job of this, you know, and I think there are a lot of us that have not done a good job of that. And so that's for me the baby step, like figuring out, oh wow, this is really a problem. This is something I've really screwed up. Um, so now I'm going to learn this music. I'm going to look for this music because I don't even know of music that,
Yeah.
written by this kind of composer. And so I think once people realize it, there's potential, right? If you pretend there's not a
Yep.
problem, then there's no potential to fix anything.
Yeah. That's beautiful. And you know what else, what that baby step is also possible for literally everyone. If you are a tenured member of an orchestra in any position, if you are the seventh stand second violin, you could still be like counting the number of uh, of works programmed by women in your orchestra season, and you could be pointing that out to management. You could be,
Yeah, they won't love you for it, but you can definitely do it. Yeah.
but you can do it. Like that should be a
Yeah.
conversation. If you are programming a solo recital, you could make sure that there is representation on that solo recital. If you are teaching kids, you can make sure that the works that you give them to study have some representation
They
in
love it.
there.
Kids love that too. Like I have
Uh-huh.
never met a kid that doesn't love that.
No,
So
exactly. All of
like
my
you
like
find them something
lovely,
that's like them, they love it.
yeah, absolutely. All my lovely adult oboists love it. Like we have such a good time looking for fun repertoire. Um, Noticing it and naming it, like even just one step up higher than your actual position. Mention it to the ops manager, mention it to the people who are in charge of programming. Like this is something that we can all do. Going back to another point that you had made, if you are asked to serve on a panel, if you are asked to like show up to a summer festival, and it is not a thing that you must do, otherwise you have no income in July, like maybe take a second and look at who else is serving and see if you can ask about having better representation there.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I do it, obviously when I'm getting invited, it's like as a woman and it's usually in a minority, but I've certainly said, "Hey, like there are no like black and brown people here. Can you or we're
Mm-hmm.
going to, have this panel on something. Can you do better there?" And usually people respond positively. Like if they actually want you there for a good reason, they'll say, "Oh yeah, here, let me come up with somebody, and do you have some suggestions?" And then like things, that's usually a positive interaction with people. In my experience, that's always been a
Mm-hmm.
positive interaction.
Amazing.
So I know people are like, "Oh, I can't say something. I can't say, oh, like let's invite a woman to this 13-man trumpet section." But I don't think very many people be like, "Wow, I hate you. You shouldn't have said that. Like, that's really horrible. You're never going to get hired again." I don't, we have this fear that that will be the response, but I don't actually think it will be.
Yeah, fair. And like the more privilege that you have personally, I'm speaking to the listeners, not to you, Catherine. Like if you are tenured in your role, if you are male, if you are white, and you have the security to raise a question, like do that. We can do that, and we
Yeah,
can all do that. Oh,
absolutely.
it's very good. Catherine, this is such an inspiring conversation. Is there anything that you would like to say here that I haven't made space for in this conversation?
No, thank you. No, this has been great. I can't think of anything that I'm, I always just write it down when it comes to me, I'm sure it'll come to me tomorrow. Um, yeah, but thank you. I mean, I really appreciate what you're doing here. And I really appreciate the idea that there's more to the oboe than having a symphony job, that I think you are so amazing at putting out there. Like there's so many different wonderful relationships you can have with an oboe or with music,
Yes.
right? It doesn't have to just be classical music. It can be, you can find your place anywhere. And I think that you've done such an amazing job with students and adult amateurs and the community at large of all kinds of musicians. And I feel that with you, right? Like music really has this potential to do really exciting things, and it's maybe not generally living up to its potential everywhere, but
Maybe it's not
we're working for
always,
that.
but
Yeah,
yeah.
we're working
Thank
for
you
it.
so much, Catherine. That's really, really nice. And like, yes, music can be a connective force and it can be a communication force and it can be a positive thing. Where do people find you and where do people follow you?
Oh, I'm on the internet, probably Google. I have a Substack, which I wish more people would read, although my Facebook is really the platform. It's mostly the same stuff. Um, on Facebook, I'm at Katherine Needleman Oboist. And on Substack, I'm the same. I think it's, let me look it up.
I'll put it in the show notes.
Katherine Needleman Oboist.substack.com. And people are like scared of Substack because they don't know what it is. It's just like a nice way to read my stuff. And my stuff on Facebook, like if I want to put lots of screenshots, you can't do that. You only get one, or it looks like a mess. And if you want to add links, you can't do that. You want to add footnotes. So, you know, a lot of things I say, people are like, oh, that can't be true. So I like to make a footnote and say, oh, well, here you go.
Here's the source.
Yeah, so I really like Substack for that. It's just much easier to read. And Facebook, people are always trying to shut me down on Facebook and report my account and stuff. So I have those two going. Those are really where I put my stuff. I mean, I'm on Instagram, but I just like post pictures of my dog. So
amazing. I will also shout out your Substack, and like, if there are people listening right now who are like into podcasts but scared of the Substack tech,
it's
the
nothing.
magic of Substack is you subscribe to it, and then your posts, Katherine, just show up in my email inbox, and I can read the whole thing and see the whole screenshot, and I don't even have to click over to the Substack. Although I wonder if you get like click credit
like
for that.
there's a lot of good there's a lot of good stuff on Substack. So like if you want to read a bunch of people, it's there. It's just like a website like Facebook. And you know, you don't have, it always wants you to subscribe, but you don't even have to subscribe. You can just click through to read, you know.
Yes.
All the stuff for free.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
Absolutely. And you've got like a tiny paywall on your thing, which I am happy to pay, but most of your material is it's out for free. It's totally readable for free. I would say like
99% of it is available for free, at least for the first 4 days. And if you want to scroll through Facebook, it's all there. It's all there for free. But yes, people were pushing me for a while to do it, and I felt weird. You know, we've talked about money a little bit before, but I felt weird saying, oh, well, you can subscribe to me. But I've actually had I've had a lot of legal fees, so it's been helpful with that. So I appreciate those who pay, and I appreciate those who don't pay. So you know, as you wish.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know I'm supposed to be closing this interview, but now that money has come up, I got so excited. Because like we should be paying creators for the like labor and effort and work that they put in. I mean, Katherine's got her job, she's fine, but it is not nothing to show up as principal oboe every week, new program, do a new thing, and also come home at night and write long form content that is well researched and that people actively push back against and sometimes try to sue you for.
Yeah. Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you. It does take work. I mean, I actually feel like it's my job. And it does not pay. I mean, it does not pay well. Certainly, playing the oboe for me pays better. So, but it is kind of maybe it will be what I'm most known for. I think it probably is already. And a lot of people are very disdainful of that. And, you know, you do what you have to do. And, you know, I take the oboe seriously, and I take music seriously. And if people want to listen to that, you know, they can hear me on YouTube or at the orchestra or various other concerts. So I'm definitely doing that too.
Yes, you are. And amazingly. Okay. Katherine Needleman, thank you so much for talking with me today.
Oh, thanks, Jennet. It was great to talk with you.